Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the program. Today we're going to talk about an enormous river discovered beneath the Antarctic ice, which is nearly 300 miles long. And here's some images of this. This is some aerial images taken with ice penetrating radar. And you can see the extent of the river here. It's a gigantic river. They've speculated that of its existence for a long time, especially a few decades prior. They've found out that there's also an intricate lake system here. And just to give you guys an idea, flowing beneath the ice sheet, the river drains an area the size of France and Germany combined. It's a lot of water. There, believe it or not, there's a lot of interconnected rivers and lake systems underneath this giant ice sheet. Which here's an older satellite image of the extent of the Antarctic ice sheet. Here's some other photos. And the area that we're gonna talk about is near this horn in western Antarctica, which is where you see the Weddell Sea here. And then here's also a Google image of the area we're talking about. You can see in relation to South America and Africa and such, and the other oceans here. We're way down here. So like I mentioned earlier, it was discovered using ice penetrating radar on aircraft, and after a few aerial surveys, they revealed 285 miles of the giant river that drains into the Weddell Sea, like I said earlier. The lake system underneath the ice was discovered decades prior to this, which is also hidden between underneath 1.2 to 2.5 miles of ice. So here's an image just to show you how quickly these lakes and the geography of this area, how it changes and such. The image on the left is a lake before it was drained on March 31st, 2019. And then almost 6 months later, you can see how much it's changed since the drainage. So this has been going on presumably for thousands and thousands of years. Since these types of images came out, they were pretty sure that there are river systems. Although when they discovered the lakes, they used a different technique. They didn't use ice penetrating radar, as far as I know. And then it wasn't until recently where they actually did the aerial surveys that they revealed these intricate systems. So like I said earlier, the lakes are beneath almost 2.5 miles of ice. The lakes fill and drain over and over again in very mysterious cycles that we're not completely sure the actual details of. Also, researchers believe they were formed beneath the ice as a result of pressure and friction. One of the things that people like to talk about a lot, especially when it comes to Antarctica, which we'll get into in a little bit, are some of these old maps that came out before the West actually discovered Antarctica through dead reckoning back in the 1800s. A lot of these maps were depicting river systems above land and such. And as far as I know from the research, this river is strictly just as a result of the ice sheet itself. I don't think it was existing in its current form when Antarctica was above water, allegedly. So, but we'll take a look at those maps in a second here. These surveys kind of exonerate the people who were hypothesizing that entire systems of river networks were lying beneath this ice sheet. We have a lot of the speculation that's been criticized for being speculation for a long time, and then now, this is another case of people being exonerated. So this is one of the source maps. This is the Orontes Phineas map. Like I mentioned earlier, Western civilization did not discover Antarctica until about, I think, 1819, early 1800s. Although it did appear from source maps in the 1500s. So this is the Orontes Phineas map. I think this is in the 1530s, if I'm not mistaken. And if you see on the bottom right, you can see the southern tip of South America, and then you can see the Weddell Sea here. And again, this is a Mercator map. There are a few different versions of this. This is the 1569 Atlas. And you can see here when you scroll down, you can see North America and such, and then South America. And again, you can see, although it's a little bit different, you can definitely see some of the shoreline of Antarctica here. And then this is the Mercator map from 1595 atlas, and you can see it's a lot more colorful, and you can see South America is a little bit more shored up, a little bit more detailed. But again, you can see some of these river systems on some of these maps, but it doesn't seem like it's the same one that we're talking about. And of course, because they're glacial rivers and lakes, and they do know for a fact that underneath the ice sheets, especially in Antarctica, not so much in Greenland, but in Antarctica, apparently a lot of these rivers exist and have been existing and are emptying into the water. And there has been some concern about this ice sheet destabilizing and completely melting the glacier. But again, that to me is speculation. And nature kind of has a way of working this stuff out. Now, if you think that humans are gonna cause the doom of the Earth and everything's gonna melt, then that's another story. But as far as I know, it doesn't seem to cause any cause for alarm or anything like that. The most interesting part of this episode, of course, is the ice penetrating radar and how just add another layer of mystery to Antarctica, because there is a lot of lore to do with this place. And we'll not get into that here, but that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll have another one coming up in the coming days.